What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mar Dark. I'm back with another video. Today, we want to talk about something different. This video is not about boxing. It's not about sports. It's about a social issue in America that we are continuing to keep having. But my main focus is just on this particular incident. And, I just wanted to break it down for the people that needed a little bit more understanding. And I'm pretty much just want to talk about just some of the basic things they're going to look at at this case. When this case goes to trial, when they look at it to figure out what they need to do, these are some of the key things that they're going to look at. Now, the first thing I want to do is talk about what actually happened. Basically, what we saw on the tape, or the video that the young lady put out with her boyfriend and their daughter. Well, if you didn't know, apparently a man was shot by a police officer. He was pulled over, and they asked for his license and registration, and pretty much told the officer that he has a gun in his license. And from what we saw the aftermath. He was shot and he later died. Now, I just want to break it down for people that don't know a lot about law and everything about that. I want to just let you know what I believe is going to happen. And pretty much this is how the system's going to go. First of all, I want to let everybody know I'm not racist or anything like that. This ain't got nothing to do with race, this video, at all. I'm not even going to get into none of that. We just strictly talking about how the law is going to handle this, how this is going to get handled in court, and what they're going to look at. This country, we deal with a lot of racial issues, but when I look at this, I'm not trying to look at race. I'm trying to look at what they're going to look at in the court case when they bring this up. Now, first thing we see is the young lady. She's going live on Facebook, and we see her boyfriend on the side of her bleeding, and he's been shot. And like I said earlier, apparently they got pulled over. The officer asked for a license, registration. From what she said her boyfriend told the officer he has a licensed gun. He was letting the officer know. And from what they put out, the officer told him, all right, well, just put your hands up. And from what she said that while he was going to put his hands up, he was shot 4 or 5 times. So I want to break it down. The first thing they're going to look at. Now, this 90% of this case can be solved if the officer had it on, if he had a body cam on, it can be solved. They can get straight down to it, and it'd be a little bit more easier for them to solve this, to figure out an outcome of the officer's actions. But now, if we don't have any type of video besides the video that she had, then it's going to be a little bit different. Because now we got two sides. We got her side, which pretty much what we see on the video, and her explaining what happened. And she explained what happened, but remember, we're talking about the court system. So if anybody puts a video out, it's not without actual proof of what happened, it don't matter in the court, because he can have his attorney say, well, we didn't even see what happened. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see what happened before. We didn't see the shots before. So I just want to put that out there for people, just to let them know we didn't see what happened before. And if we don't know what happened before, the court, they're going to, trust me, his lawyers, they're going to use that for their advantage. You best to believe they're going to use that for their advantage. First off, he's an officer, so he's on the side of the law. That's another thing. That's another key factor. He's on the side of the law. So if he don't have a body cam, and if he just says, well, I told him to put his hands up and he was reaching for whatever he was reaching for. I mean, he could have thought he was reaching for his gun, and I shot him. And it's sad, you know, I don't really want to say it like that, but it's sad, but how the law works sometimes. But under law, he had the right to actually shoot him if he believed that. Now, I'm not saying, honestly, I mean, I don't think he should have shot him. I mean, I'm going to put that out there right now. I thought it was completely wrong, but I just know how the system works, and they're going to, this case will be broke down into levels. And then if the officer says, well, I told him this, he did that. I told him to put his hands up, he was reaching for his wallet, so I shot him, all based off of fear of his life, based off, you know, he going to say that was probable cause. You know, I had the reason to do it because I told him to do this, and he was continuing to not listen. And you look at the report from what we have right now, you see what he says. It says, I told him to just put his hands up. So that lets me know maybe he was reaching for his wallet. But from what she said, the girlfriend, he was reaching for his wallet at first. Then he told the officer, yeah, well, I have a licensed gun as well. And then as he put his hands up, because the officer told him, okay, well, put your hands up. So as he was putting his hands up, he was shot 4 to 5 times. So it's two different sides. I mean, it all happened so quick. You know, what we seen in the video, they're going to use, but at the same time, what's going to really count is when they bring that officer in and they talk to him one-on-one with his attorney and what he's going to say. And I can guarantee you, he's going to say 2 things. He's either going to say this. 1, I was scared. Yeah, I was scared. I messed up. I shot him. I messed up. I shouldn't have done it. Which I don't think he's going to say at all. I don't think he's going to say that. The second thing is this. This is what I think he's going to say. And this is this. That, well, he told me he had a licensed gun. Or, matter of fact, we don't even know if he said out of his mouth, I got a licensed gun. He could have just said, I got a gun. So the officer's rather going to say, well, he said he had a gun when I told him to put his hands up, and he was still reaching for his wallet, or was he reaching for his gun? I don't know what he was reaching for. So as an officer, and that I was taking safety precautions, and I was fearing for my life, so I shot him. And as crazy as that sounds, he can use that, and he can use that in the court of law, and they will let him go. I'm telling y'all, he would use it, and they will let him go, because under law, it's under law. The picture I put up is the gun law in Minnesota. It's the policy that they have now, which states that if you have your gun license and you're in a car, you can have it. You can have the gun on you. I mean, of course, it has to be on your side or put up. You can have it on you, right? That's what it says. But if you do have your license and you don't have your permit on you while you're driving, you must have the gun in the case and unload it and put up. That's only if you don't have the permit with you. If you got your permit with you, you can have it on your side, or what, you can have it in the car or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that permit, you gotta be put up. You know. So that's gonna be another question in this case. And that's why I'm saying that the body camera will provide us more information if they have one, because if they got the body camera, now it helps the victim's side a little bit more, because if she's saying this happened, the body cam is going to tell us the truth. You know, it's going to validate what she said. Now if she said this is what happened and the body cam shows us the same thing, then okay, now we got something. But without that, it's going to be kind of hard, because if he has the body cam on him, now we can break down some more factors. Because as an officer, one of the main things you need to know is the law. You have to know the law. You have to know police procedures. Because if he, as an officer, walked up and he said, "I want to see your license and registration," and the man just pretty much, if the man just said, "Well, I have that, but I also have a gun," then as an officer, you need to know what to do. You have to know what to do. So they're gonna look at it. Well, what did he do? Did the man said did he actually say he had a licensed gun or a gun? They're gonna look at the smallest things, because the officer, doesn't have to say, "Well, do you have a gun?" The man, the officer don't have to go up to the car like, "You got a gun on you?" He don't have to actually do that. I mean, he don't really have a reason to do it, that he felt like it was something that bothered him, or he had some type of reason. He had to prove, like, he had to have some type of reason to want to know that. But I just want to break it down again, because you look at this sheet that I have up, it says, upon the request of the officer, the person must show their permit. And remember, like I said, if you do not have that permit, your gun must be put up in a case, unloaded in your car, and it must be put up. So I'm just going to break it down again, because say for instance, and like they said, he told the officer he has a gun. Now we're going to break down police procedures, because if I'm an officer and I'm approaching it, and at the same time, yes, it's easier said than done, but as an officer, you really got to keep your composure and stay calm. But if I'm the officer and I'm walking up, I'm pulling him over for a traffic stop or whatever reason, I'm pulling him over and I'm asking him for his license and his registration. If the man says, "Well, okay, I have that and I also have a gun," even if he says I have a gun or he says I have a licensed gun, the first thing I'm going to ask as the officer is this. I'm going to be like, "Okay, you have a gun. Is it licensed?" Because if he told me it was licensed, then I won't have to ask him that. But if he didn't say it was licensed, I'm asking him, "Well, is it licensed?" He whether going to say yes or no. In this case, he would say yes. All right. Okay, my next step is this. "Okay, sir, do you have the gun on you?" And you know what? Actually, I don't even have to do that. I don't even have to ask him if he had the gun on him, because he already had. He would have told me already. The next step would be, "Where's your permit?" That's the next step. Because if he if he already told me, like, I got a licensed gun or have a gun on me, and I asked him, "Well, do you have your permit? You have your license?" And he said, "Yeah." So I need to see his permit, right? So if he has his permit, like he shows me proof, like here's my permit, sir, officer. I don't even, me as an officer, I don't even care about seeing the gun, because unless I want to check and make sure it matches or whatever, but which he could do if he wanted, I mean, but if he showed me the permit, then that's fine, you know. Now I know he has his gun, his license and everything. We should have nothing to worry about. So the next step is just checking his license and registration. You know, I don't need to see the gun. I don't need to see the gun. You know, why do I need to see? Do I need to see it? Now I can see, like I said, if he felt like he needed to see it because he wanted to make sure it matched or whatever, I understand that. But I don't really need to see that. I pulled you over for another reason, not for suspicion of you having a gun and you were doing something illegal. Because if you show me your permit and you told me, then I'm like, okay, there's nothing to really for me to be concerned. Now, if he would have just said, I got my gun, and he didn't have a permit, and I asked him, well, where is your permit? And he said, well, I don't have it. I'm like, okay, well, sir, under law, I got to ask you this. Now, is the gun put up, unloaded in the case? Right? And that's the next step. I'm asking is if it's put up, unloaded, or is it in the case? Now, if he says no, now we have a problem, because he says he's licensed, but he don't have his permit, and the gun ain't put up. So now this is, the officer can pull you out of the car for it if they think you know what I'm saying, suspicion or whatever. But under these circumstances, I really believe that you didn't really have to, but only if it got to that level where if he didn't have his permit and he had a gun and not in the case. Now you can be like, okay, well, sir, I'll tell you what, just keep your hands up or whatever. You can I would have just said, just step out the car, put his hands up first. I would have asked him, where do you have it at, for one. You know, and then that's when you call backup. This is when you have backup. You know, have his partner come and help assist. We find the gun, you know, whatever. If you really feel like it was that big of a deal, we run it. If everything's come back okay, we had nothing to worry about. And I would explain to him, like, it's just police procedures. We just, I don't really want to do this, but under law, you're supposed to have it. If you don't have your permit with you, you're supposed to have it in the case, unloaded, put up in your car. Not on the side of you, but it must be put up, unloaded in the case. And that's it. You know, I would have left it at that. And, you know, I don't really want to get too deep into this video. I just wanted to pretty much let you guys know what they're going to look for. You know, they're going to ask him, did he say he had a licensed gun? Did he say or did he just say that he had a gun on him? That little small factor is going to determine a lot, especially if it ain't no video. Because if it's not a video besides what she put out, you might as well get ready for another case where the officers want to get off because of this law and because of the system, because the officer is the law. Remember that. He is the law. An officer can take your rights. They have the right to take away your rights. So regardless of what the video showed, if the officer felt like he was threatened, he can shoot. And I'm sorry, I mean, it's bad. I don't want to say it like that, but that's just how it is. That's what the system is. He can shoot. Now, the other question is, him justifying shooting him 4 to 5 times. Now, we don't know if this is facts yet. This is just what she said. He was shot 4 to 5 times. You know, till the results come back, then we go from there. But without a body cam, man, it's going to be kind of hard for them. It's going to be kind of hard, you know, especially if this officer pretty much said, well, I told him to put his hands up. He kept reaching. He reached for his wallet, or he was reaching for a gun. so I shot him out of fear. Um, you know, if he says that, then it's gonna be a little tough, And I just want y'all to know, just put yourself in those shoes. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you black or white, Latino, whatever race, whatever you are. Just put yourself in them shoes. If you was pulled over, right? You have, say, your wife in the car, girlfriend or whatever, and you have your kid in the back seat. You're pulled over, and the officers ask you, I need your license and registration. I want y'all to let me know, what would you say? Would you say, okay, would you just show him your license or registration? Or would you be like, well, officer, I have a licensed gun on me as well? What would you do in that situation? And another thing I want you to think about is this: if the officer felt threatened, like the man was going to shoot him, why would the man tell him he had a gun? Just think about that for a second. Because me personally, honestly, I think if he wanted to shoot at the officer, he would never have told him he had a gun, because me telling you I have a gun lets you prepare to counter me. That's the rules of the game. That's the art of war. You never let nobody know when you're ready to attack. You don't want them to know what you got either. So, you gotta look at things like that too. So I really think it's kind of like silly that the man would want to do any harm, seeing that he has a kid in the back and he's gonna have his girlfriend right there, and at the same time he let the officer know he had the gun. So you gotta look at things like that too. But even with all those factors that's played into that, the system don't care about none of that. They can say it and use it in court, like, well, he had his kid in there, his wife, his girlfriend, whatever. Why would he want to do anything to the officer? And he told the officer he had a gun, licensed gun. They don't care about that, man. I'm telling y'all right now, when it's all said and done, they want to know beyond a reasonable doubt. And they really mean that. You have to prove it. And the officer, he can, without that cam, he has the more, he was a sworn in officer, so he's more believable than the man, even with that video and how sad it was. They're gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, well, this officer said he was in fear of his life. The man didn't put his hands up. He was reaching, and he told him to put his hands up, and he shot out of fear for his life and safety. And that's what they're going to use. I don't really believe it. So, just based off the history of these last couple of years of these cases, I really think that's probably what's going to happen. But we at the beginning right now, and it's without that body cam, it's going to be kind of hard to justify what she said. And I really hope they get the body cam so it can validate what she said. I really do. I wish them nothing but the best. I feel like the officer was I really feel like the officer made a mistake, but at the same time I was not in the officer's shoes. Maybe the officer was scared, but maybe he could have, it's not even a maybe, he could have handled it in a better manner. You have a kid in the back seat, and a kid has to see that, so I just wanted to put this out, talk about something actually different, because I just wanted to let people know what I truly believe that they're going to look at in the case. They're going to want that body cam, and if they don't have the body cam, they're going to look at what the officer said comes first. That's the first thing, because they have the video what the girl said, but if the officer saying another thing, then they're going to believe him first. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. They're going to believe him first because he is the law. He's on the side of the law. He's sworn in. He has that. That's the advantage that he has. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I really hope that this can be solved and the right thing can actually happen this time. But with the law and the way the system works, man, it's a game, y'all. I want just remember that the court system is a game. The criminal justice system, it's all a game. And when it's all said and done, they're gonna use it and they're gonna play. That's all this is about. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Subscribe to the video and y'all stay safe out there, man. It's your boy Mark Dark. I'm out. Peace.